Mushelelo, a young published Namibian who has made his trade in forex trading and entrepreneurship, has decided to form the Power Party, which he says will contest in the upcoming elections.
Just like any other ordinary young Namibian, I'm pretty much frustrated with the status quo. So for quite a number of years, we all rant our issues on social media, we tweet about it, we share a lot of things on WhatsApp and all of those things, but nothing really changes. So as a result, I said, well, the only way to bring about change is obviously to remove the current status quo, which is obviously the current ruling party, which has been in power for the past 28 years. So for the past 28 years, we've had a government that has constantly tried to change things, but it seems to me that they've only been managing to change them for the worse. I can either sit back and continue doing the old rhetoric thing of complaining and hoping that things change, or I can actually do something to bring about the change that I would like to see. So hence the reason why we're currently busy with the registration of our political party, which is called POWER, which is abbreviated for People Organized Working Towards Economic Reality. That's what people need right now. We don't need this rhetoric of we fought for this country, we died for this country. It's old news now. What we need now is we need a party that can move us towards the industrialization that we're hoping for, and obviously the prosperity that we keep preaching. And how are we going to bring about prosperity? It's through economic reality. And people keep arguing to say that, but we don't have the right amount of resources, we don't have enough money. And I look at these issues and I actually want to laugh, because there are countries such as Japan. Japan has zero natural resources. Yet for decades it's been the world's largest economy. Only recently it's been overtaken by China. But it's still the world's third largest economy. And they've got zero resources. Where did they put most of their resources? It's human resources. It's innovation, it's the technology, that's what they've invested in. And now today, as a result, they're reaping the dividends of those investments that they've made in their people. In our case, the only investments that we make is building monuments, erecting shrines, naming of streets. That's about the only development that's taking place in this country. And with that kind of development, unfortunately, we're not going to get anywhere.
I asked him what will set his party apart from the rest.
Well, what we're going to do differently is we need to look at practical approaches. First of all, there are certain things that we might underestimate or might overlook, but at the end of the day, they're costly to the state. For example, I was looking at a situation. I recently came from a poor where we've got a school that only has one classroom block, can practically only accommodate 100 learners, but has over 700 learners. Now, as a result, obviously, the learners are being taught under the trees, and obviously, photos started circulating on social media, and then the principal needed to be reprimanded to say, should we ever see again pictures circulating of learners being taught under the tree or whatever the case is, something will be done with you. So as a result, they've obviously resorted to makeshift tents, and then obviously separating the school into, say, few of the learners will come in the morning and then the rest will come in the afternoon. But in the same vein, while I was driving towards that school, there's one thing that I observed. I observed that there was several cars, was probably the presidential motorcade, driving from the north towards the capital. Now, it's obviously big cars, V8s. So I'm just thinking to myself, the amount of fuel that car consumes. Now, first of all, you're looking at the fuel that car is consuming, then you look at the S&T of the driver, and then you obviously look at the whole entourage of the president and the ministers that are traveling to go bury this state funeral that we call it. Now, why is it that an ordinary Namibian who pays his normal taxes has to bury their own family, while someone who can actually afford for them to be buried because of the money they've accumulated over the years has to be given a state funeral at the cost of who? Normal taxpayers who sometimes can't even afford to bury their own families. So we would rather be spending money on the dead while our children continue being taught under the trees, because this is money that could practically be used to obviously build schools. However, we're now wasting it on other things that are not necessarily important. So first of all, we're going to get rid of state funerals. If you die, we'll most probably accord you status to say you're a hero and whatsoever, but your family will have to do the due diligence of burying you whatsoever. If a minister wishes to travel whatsoever, they will have to do that on their own cost. Second thing that we're going to do, we need to reduce the whole cost of government in terms of there is no need for Namibia to have a office of the vice president. There is no need for us to have several deputy ministers. So we're going to get rid of all that. And then the other thing is we also need to reduce parliament, because now you've got an MP needs a driver, he needs a car, he needs a PA, he needs an office. Remember the other time where we were paying for office space, but they're not utilizing those office spaces as well as the parkings? We get rid of all of that. So that is all wastage.
I also asked him how the power structures within the new party will work.
Okay, well, how we're going to decide how our president is going to be is we're going to have our normal internal politics, where we obviously, based on merits, we're going to select who the party leader is going to be, who the party president is going to be. Obviously, seeing that I'm the one who started the thing, I'm obviously the interim party president, but obviously due to the fact that as a country, we obviously need to meet certain criteria in terms of the constitutions and the electoral commission acts and so forth, we then obviously need to choose someone who's competent in terms of leading the country. But here's the thing, it's not necessarily going to be an issue of the president. It's going to be the policies of the party. So we're going to work on a policy whereby if the president of the country, who is obviously belongs to a certain political party, is not carrying out the aspirations of the party shall have full right to recall that president and appoint whoever is going to carry out the mandate. Remember the, what do we call this document now? It slipped my mind. The manifesto, the election manifesto. Now the manifesto is the document where we make our promises to the nation in terms of we're going to bring you service land, we're going to create jobs for you, we're going to increase pension funds, all those things. That's where that document, that's where it's all written. But now what I've seen with the current party is they've got good manifestos, but they've just not been implementing what's in the manifesto.